確かに英語でよろしくお願いしますってある。
ない。
So like, I guess like the equivalent of like or like is like in English at least. Well, but like in English, like filler words like that, if you use it too often.
俺、私、僕、わし、わたい、わがはい、わい、あたし、あたい。
外国人が考える母国語にあってほしい日本語、今日話してみるよ。 Let's find out! こんにちは、全人類と友達になる男もクーガーミンスターウジです。そして
何です。
そうです。です。
今日のテーマは日本語ペラペラ外国人が考える母国語にあったら嬉しい日本語。もう皆さん日本語ペラペラですよね。
いや、そんなことないです。
いや、すごい日本人的な会社やん。僕が今日本語で喋ってみんな 100% 理解してるのを見て分かる通り、みんなねペラペラということで、日本語にしかない表現っていうので、例えばいただきますとかがあったりするけど、今日話してみたいのは日本語ペラペラな外国人が思う自分の言語にこれがあったら便利だな、あってほしいなって思う言葉、一人一つずつねピックアップしてもらったんで、それを聞いてみたいと思います。
Cool.
それでは行ってみましょう。じゃあある人、
はい、
お願いします。
よろしくお願いします。
おー、
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
Like you just use it just now when you
はい、よろしくお願いします。
なんかこの言葉ってどの場合も使っても間違いない気がすりますね。例えば、人が依頼する時とか、それも絶対よろしくお願いしますでしょ。自己紹介終わったもよろしくお願いしますでしょ。自己紹介終わってよろしくお願いします言ったら、その話も終わりましたよっていう感じ。
とりあえずよろしくお願いしますをつけたら、なんとなく分かってくれるだろうし、丁寧になりますし。
確かに英語でよろしくお願いしますってある？
ないな。It's too much.
It's just like too many different meanings for Yoshi.
Yeah, exactly.
Just one almighty term, right? It's like, oh, please take care of me. If you like meet, like, oh, it's nice to meet you. Like, please take care of this. It's like, oh, leave it to me. It's like it can be used for like a bunch of different situations.
でそうか、確かによろしくお願いしますって主語つけなくても使えちゃうもんね。
そうですね。
Yeah. And it's also because like you can use it in a very general situation, like when you do 自己紹介 and like はじめましてなんちゃらなんちゃらなんちゃらよろしくお願いします and the other person is like こちらこそよろしくお願いします and it's like what do you よろしく but at the same time you also like you are in a project and you need to finish a very specific task and like you're asking your employers like これよろしくお願いします and that's specific よろしくお願いします。
いや、そうね。本来だったらその主語は変わるわけじゃなくて、自分の自己紹介した後に例えば新人だとするじゃん。省略しなくて喋ろうとしたら、まだまだ全然わからないこともありますけれども、私がミスしても許してくださいね、よろしくお願いしますっていうそういうのをふわっとさせて相手にちょっと委ねてる感じあるよね。お願いしますで言うのも使えるし、さっき言ったなんかそのプロジェクトの例えばこのエクセル作ってくださいっていう時に、作るの大変かもしれませんけど自分でいろいろ調べてなんとか作成仕上げてください、よろしくお願いしますっていうここが消されてて、それを本人が伝えたいのかはわからないし、相手がそう受け取るかわかんないけど、共通の認識であるでしょ。
コンテクスト。
そうでお願いしますって渡せるってことか。
It doesn't even have to be like a business environment either. Say like you're cooking dinner with a friend and you're making it together and it's like 玉ねぎよろしくお願いします。
本当やね。だって切ってとかも言ってないもん。英語だったらなんて言う
？Can you cut the onion for me, please?
じゃあカットとかってちゃんと言うんだ。
Yeah. Can you do this for me, please? What do you need it? I need it cut.
カットって言葉を使わずに、この玉ねぎよろしくって言える方法ない
？Yeah, you can't just say the onion.
Can you just do that?
The onion what?
Yeah,
onion fell?
What do you want me to do with
Fell?
this? Because even if you were to say like, can you handle the onion? It's like, well, in what way?
I'm sure Malaysian style.
Put your head.
Right. In the Philippines, like this one.
例えばカレー作ってて、ちょっと玉ねぎお願いしていいって言う。
Yeah. Well, I guess like with onions, it's like you don't really do much with an onion except cut it. I guess, right? There's not, you don't wash an onion. You don't You don't eat it.
No.
What about in situations where like you could do many things to a particular item? Like, say you really want them to like boil the water or something.
水お願いっていう感じ
So I guess like they may think like, do you want water? Do you want to wash something? Do you want to boil it? Do you want to cool it down? Like what do you want to do? I guess right. So like, is it really that useful?
このシチュエーションだったらこの方法しかないだろうっていう言い方で言うと思う。喉乾いてるんだよね、ちょっと水お願いしていいとか、うわやばい火だ、水お願いしてもいいとか、そしたら水かけてって意味だし、要はシチュエーションごとに共通認識で水はこれに使うでしょっていうのがなんか分かる感じ。
I guess so. Yeah.
And one more thing I want to add is that this word is pretty. It helps you to get off like awkward situation. I would say, like for example, when you have this conversation, then you start saying something, and then you wouldn't know what to reply. And you say, よろしくお願いします。
じゃあ1個目はね、よろしくお願いします。
うっす。
はい、でした。はい、次。
あ、はい。
お願いします。
あ、OK。
今なんか言いたかったんじゃなくて、
そのまま。
I see.
どういうこと
So like, I guess like the equivalent of like or like is like in English at least. Well, that kind of thing, right? But like in English, like filler words like that, if you use it too often as an English speaker, you made it sound kind of dumb.
True. You're
Yeah.
not very eloquent if you use
Like your brain is working so slow. There's no other words that are coming out except for like you know like the stereotype of like the burnout kid in high school who's like I don't get it.
Yeah.
Right. But like in Japanese, even in like official business settings, you say you're doing a presentation, like, and stuff like that. Like even you can say it in a way many times in the same situation that it doesn't sound unprofessional necessarily. Well, to a degree, I guess, right? For example, you can say like maybe 5 times in the same moment.
That's a sentence. He's thinking.
Right. But like if you say right, over and over again in the same like situation, you have a bit more room to say it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's really, really convenient, right? Because you can still sound, on top of things. You can still sound eloquent. You can still sound professional and smart using these words, as opposed to in English, if you go, you just sound kind of slow.
I feel like if you've ever taken an English speaking, like a speech class, one of the things that they tell you to be careful about, it's better to just not say anything, like, rather than like use filler words like or or I mean the way they say is like it's better to use silence rather than filler words, right? When you speak in English, but I feel like in Japanese that's not necessarily the case, right?
もちろん日本でもって使いすぎたら良くない。そうだからなんか1個の文章で比べてみたらどうかなと思うんだけど、例えば、今英語と日本語で同じ文章を用意したけど、
Cool.
全然許されるであろうプロフェッショナルのレベルで入れて読んでみるね。ですね、こちらの物件に、投資いただければ、大体年500円ほどのですね、利益が見込めると思います。これ全然 OK。
I trust you. I trust
You had me at the.
you.
Wow, he's thinking. Yes. No, がちゃんと回ってる。
By contrast, the English version, if you were to add a similar amount of like or filler words, it'd probably sound like this. So, if you invest into this property, you can expect like an increase of like 500 yen a year. Yeah.
Frat boy.
Yeah, I'm not investing any money into that thing at all. No. I'm going with the Japanese.
Can I ask why? Why?
ですね。
さっきの言い方だったら、全然なんか信用できない感じに聞こえる。
できない。
No.
そうなんだ。
I mean, I think it's also the effect of the Keigo as well. It's felt respected.
Yeah,
But it's not, even if
right.
you put it into like polite language in English, it doesn't really transfer.
Yeah.
I think if you want to make it sound like believable in English, you have to be like really like
professional.
Like it's like body language, tone, and like delivery, right? So you'd have to be
all
like
3, the Triforce.
Now, Mr. Byron, if you were to invest in this property, you can expect an increase of 500 yen a year. That's a bit more
There, yeah,
で
yeah.
その喋ってる途中でちょっと考えないといけない時あるじゃん。そういう時はどうする？
Well, no, you have to think beforehand. Yeah.
You just.
Or maybe you
Think
just make a
before you
pause.
speak.
その途中ではどうする？
If you invest in this property, yeah, you can expect an increase of 5 million a year. Like,
これは OK。
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
okay.
that's cool.
Because if you really like shinkenakao, if you do like a really serious
You
face,
stay on with your brain and your eyes.
yeah, because like if you say like it just sounds bad.
あ、そうね。じゃあやっぱさっきアナが言ったように「あ」とか言葉と言葉をつなぐ考えてる時に出すフィラーワードっていうの、それを言うよりは黙ってた方がいいんだね。
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
Right. Because I think what it may sound like if you use things like or well is like you're trying to fill it up with something that you can't. You're not adding anything to the sentence kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't sound confident.
Yeah.
Like if you use filler words in English, it sounds like you didn't prepare enough.
There you go. Yeah.
Whereas in Japanese, it sounds like, oh, I'm thinking about your specific situation, why I'm telling this.
そうそうそう。だから今あなたについての物事を、考えてますよ。ちょっと待ってくださいね。表現してるんだよね。それで。
I would have never thought that eto holds so much context behind just like simple usages of words. It just makes me realize the more Japanese I study, I cannot translate anything into my native tongue anymore. It's not eto anymore. Eto is like totally different word to me now.
One last example. If you ever see an academic or a really erai hito doing an interview on TV in English, the interviewer will ask a question, and when they want to think before they respond, they just sit
Pause.
silent.
Yes, they pause.
So like they ask a question, what do you think the economic development of Cambodia will be in 50 years or something? They'll be like, and then they'll go.
Yeah,
Right? Like they're really like serious about it kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like on Japanese television, if an erai hito goes there and is asked the question, they almost immediately said, そうですね and then they respond.
日本語は難しいことを質問された時に黙りすぎてたらすげえ気まずくなるの。
What?
でこの人考えてる？止まってる？寝てる？とかなるから、それはですね、まあ難しいですけれども、っていう感じで間を埋めるのよ。面白いね。
That's cool.
2つ目はね、ということで、まあ well とかね、とか、これ多分知らない人も多かったと思うけど、英語に比べたら日本語の方がたくさん使っても、まあ信頼できる感は維持されるよってことね。
One last thing. I think people learning English, there's a temptation to use a lot of filler words because it may sound a bit more native, right? But they can have an opposite effect where you may sound less informed on the topic.
めっちゃ使ってるわ。
I mean, it's okay. It depends on the situation, obviously, right? If you're talking with friends, whatever, who cares? But if you're in a presentation and you're like,
あんま良くないんだね。
Yeah, I always got told by my professors, can you just like not use like during your presentation? Sounds really unprofessional.
はい、次。
はい。
はい。
一人称たくさんあります。
Alright, name all of them, Anna.
go.
I can't do all of them, but I'll do as many as I can.
Here we go.
Okay, so you have 俺、私、僕、わし、わたい、わがはい、わい、あたし、あたい。
Come on.
で、
One more.
No, come on.
Make it 10.
Here we go.
I have to say わがはい、right?
Yeah, you say it.
あ、我。
OK。
Alright.
例えば英語とかだったら自分のことは絶対 I 以外ありえないけど、
I mean myself.
Me.
日本は今軽く見ただけでも70種類くらいはあるんですよ。
Jesus Christ.
Do you need that
Superstar.
many?
See, that's why I could name 10 choices.
Yeah.
でもそれなんか使いたいなって思うの？
思う。
なんで？
どっちの第一人称を使うことによってそのパーソナリティを作れるから
確かにね、あ、そうだ、拙者って言ったら昔の忍者か何かかなって思うし、そう、わしはのって言ったら、ちょっと田舎の方に住んでる、まあしかもお年寄りの人っていうのも使いそうだなみたいな方言っぽい感じするし、キャラクター表してるかもしれない、
我が輩だったら猫だし
面白い嘘よ嘘嘘
Or like there's a lot of people when you go to a Japanese language school that was a bit urayamashi because like all the guys like the sensei would tell them, okay, so you can choose between ore and boku. Choose your weapon.
Right. Yeah. It's funny because like it also opens the door for like jokes like in Kimi no Na wa to exist, right? Because like when somebody switches bodies with somebody, like they can tell that it's not this person. He's like watashi, and they're like what? Boku? What? Ore? Yeah.
本当だ。僕もさ、僕っていうじゃん。で、それは一回ね、俺にしたのよ。高校の時くらいに。でもなんか、俺って僕の中で結構ちょっとワイルドな響きで、僕そんなワイルドじゃないしなと思って、ちょっと思春期の、っていうなんか女の子にもモテたいし、みたいな時期が、俺に3年間したけど、大学帰ってから僕に戻したりしたから、で確かに自分のパーソナリティは表すし、あと僕が思うのは、小説とか読むときに、キャラクターのイメージしやすいかもしれない。
確かに。
I have a question. So in colloquial speech, does anybody deviate from actually using ore, boku, or watashi? Or is it usually just like those three? Have you met anybody in your life who like uses the other ones on purpose?
いっぱいいるよ。
私 and 自分 are also pretty common, I think.
いや、自分はっていう。
What's the ranking? Like maybe top 7.
私、俺、
Okay.
僕、私と私が違うのかな。
私は女性でしょ。
次が自分の名前かな。
Oh, okay.
名字、アナはとか、
Anna
アロンは、まああんまり言わないから。
I think kids do that a lot, though.
だからメールだったらさ、誰が主語かわかんないから、山田は賛成ですとかって書いてあるするか。僕が考えつくのこれくらいなんで、皆さんが思うトップ7を教えてください。いろいろ使うかな。なんかうちとかも言った。女の子がそう、うちとかって言ったりするし。僕の生まれ故郷広島とかわしっていう人も。
若い人も多い。
ちょっと田舎の方に行くと結構いると思う。わしも食べんといけんけの。美味しいんじゃ。3つ目は一人称がたくさんあるということでした。
はい。
はい、次お願いします。
You ready for this? I wish that existed in English.
You going somewhere?
Yeah, I'm gonna go.
よいしょって言葉ってこと
Yes. That word. It's so fun to use. I use it like on purpose now because it's so fun to say.
Oh, it's great, yeah.
You know, because like usually when you get up from a chair, Aaron, you and I were talking about this earlier. You're saying like upside daisies if you're like an old guy. You know, it's like there we go. Okay.
よいしょっていうのはさ、どっこいしょとかとも言ったりするけど、重いものを持ち上げたり、座ったり立ったり、自分のちょっと力がいることをするときに勢いつけるために気持ち的に紐をよいしょよいしょってそういう言葉って英語とか中国語、ルーマニア語ない
ない
の？マレー語とかもない？
ない。
立ち上がるときは？
普通に立ち上げる。
でもちょっと年取ってきたりとか、今日たくさん運動しました、疲れました。
ない。
よいしょ。
Yeah.
I feel like in English you just like grunt. Like,
Yeah.
あー、なる。もうテニスのと一緒で
yes,
す
exactly.
ね。
Yeah. You know why that is though? I've learned that it's to tighten your core. That's why they grunt. Because like as soon as you make contact with the ball, you need to tighten your core, and that's why grunting kind of helps you. It's kind of how like singers use their diaphragm. It's like you can do that. It's very easy to engage your core.
Oh.
そういう意味で言ったらよいしょも一緒かもね。
Oh, you're right. Yeah, it's very easy to like. You can probably tighten your core. Oh, you're right. It doesn't for more than. Oh, you're right.
しかも特にしょのところで動くから。よいで動くじゃない。
よい
しょ。
Isn't like a, everyone is very worried about the koshi, right? Koshi tai, right? So I guess like when you tighten your core with the sho, it tightens everything up so your koshi doesn't hurt anymore. It's all connected.
あと思うのは、綱引きとかするときって、どのタイミングで弾くのかをみんなにこう伝えないといけないじゃん。そういうときにみんなで、よいしょよいしょしょで弾くっていう共通のイメージあるかも。
It's 1, 2.
あ、1, 2,
1, 2.
2ってちょっと力抜けないだよね。
Yeah. I feel like 2 is like it's taking it away. Shut is like
なんか力ちょっと入る感じする。適当なこと言ってもし間違ってたらごめんなさい。誰か教えてください。
So like, think about the gym, right? They'll be like squatting or something like that. And like be screaming at it all the time. Yeah. Or like deadlifting, because like deadlift you have to be super like tight, right? Before you pull the weight off the ground. So you
4つ目はよいしょということでした。はい、ということで今日は日本語ペラペラ外国人が考える母国語にあってほしい日本語について話してみました。
はい、
どうだった？
We talked about 4 words, but I feel like there's so many other words that we wish was in our native tongues. It's really interesting, as I was saying earlier. The more that I study Japanese, the more I realize I just should throw everything I know about English and never associate with Japanese ever again. Just like, okay, here's my English brain, just leave it here, don't translate anything, and just make a separate Japanese brain, okay? Eto means this, eto does not mean It does not mean
いや、そう面白いよね。なんかそのもう今まではさ、それが完璧に同じ意味だよっていう風に理解してたけど、実はそうじゃなかったっていう。
Right.
面
Cute,
白い。
kawaii, that's not the same.
あ、それも違うんだ。
Yeah, that's not the
はい、
same
まあ、
thing.
もしそれに興味ある人は第2弾でやろうと思うのでコメント欄までよろしくお願いします。逆にね、日本語にはないみんなの母国語にはある便利な言葉とかあったらそれも話してみたら楽しいかもしれないよね。他にね、皆さんが考える日本語独特の表現とか便利な言葉があればコメント欄で教えてください。
Put it in there,
僕らにトークしてほしい話があればそちらもコメント欄までよろしくお願いします。
please.
どしどし。
それでは次の動画でまたお会いしましょう。バイバイ。チャンネル登録
く
お願い
お願いします。